Hello everyone, the second part of the global anniversary update is upon us, and with that we get the new release of Robella. After the electric team is complete, we now have another fan favorite doll coming to the Elmo to revive the Freeze comp into meta. I know a lot of you have been waiting to get her regardless, but how good is she actually? Is she worth pulling for without any prior Freeze team investment, or is she must pull if you already have an invested Freeze team? We will try to look for the answers to these questions here in this video. We will primarily look at her skill kit, her team synergy and role in the Freeze team, her dupes, etc. to try to figure out her pull value in the current meta for your account. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting with the TLDR, like always, Robella is the Freeze Hypercarry DPS unit using SMG weapon. One of the must requirements for playing her is to partner her with another Freeze damage dealer with the counter attack or interception mechanic, which right now is gonna be Macchiato for her. And soon when she releases, it's going to be Alva. If you have been investing in Freeze team, you should already have Macchiato, so that's good. And if you are only now starting to build your Freeze team, you should look forward to pulling Alva in future. If you have none or are not interested in building a Freeze team, then there's really no point going for Robella except for collection purposes in your dorm. Her core mechanic revolves around partnering with the said Freeze unit, and it's kind of a symbiotic relationship buffing both of them. I mentioned Robella is the Freeze team hypercarry, and like other elemental hypercarries, that's only true at V6. In fact, V6 Robella has the highest theoretical damage ceiling in the game. It's theoretical because she has a stacking buff for her damage that can be stacked unlimited times at V6 in a theoretical unlimited turns fight. But in practicality, most battles are max 7 to 10 turns, and even then she can output huge damage numbers for your screenshots. Remember, this is all possible at V6 only. Her damage also scales better if there's multiple enemies she can target, so in absolutely single target boss fights, her damage potential is diminished even more. With that in mind, if you are the whale building your Freeze team, she is a must pull at V6. What about F2 piece then? As I mentioned before, if you are skipping Freeze, then skip her too. But if you are building Freeze, my best recommendation is to skip and try to borrow her V6 version from the support units if you can when you can. That would be the most cost effective for you. And if you really need to have her, V0 Robella is enough and you don't need to go for any early dupes. The early dupes get you some extra damage boosts which are nice but really doesn't compare against V6, so just stop at V0 and save for Alva, you need her. You also do not need Robella's signature weapon. Standard SSR SMG Swarog is your best in slot here. Swarog is the GOAT SMG, not gonna lie, everyone wants to use it and you only get one. But there's no other Freeze characters competing for it, so it should be fine. Okay, that's about it for the TLDR, let's jump into her skill kit now. Starting with her skill 1, this is the skill you start her turns with. She applies Unity on another ally and then gains an extra command. This is the partnering skill we mentioned before. Your main and only targets for Unity should be Macchiato or Alva. There can only be one Unity link, but you can change the target if you want to on another turn. But what does Unity do? First thing, the ally with Unity gets an attack boost equal to 10% of Robella's attack if they do freeze damage. That's why we choose a freeze damaging ally as the target. Next, when this ally does active attacks or interception attacks, Robella applies one stack of inspection on the enemy. If the attacks were freeze damage, then Robella puts one additional stack. So now we understand why this ally needs to be a freeze damage dealer with interception capability for the best value. There's also a fixed freeze damage at the end equivalent to 20% of Robella's attack. That was Unity. Now we need to know what does the inspection stacks do. This is part of Robella's core mechanic. This can be stacked up to 6 times on an enemy, and at the end of action, if the enemy is within 8 tiles of Robella, she attacks with Frigid Infiltration, which is basically freeze damage with a base 150% multiplier and 2 stability damage. Each inspection stack increases the multiplier by 3%. This is a big damage source for her. Okay, after skill 1 she gains the extra command, and now we go for skill 2. Skill 2 applies Radiant Rise on herself for 2 rounds. This gives her a 30% damage boost and upgrades the Unity and Inspection effects to their enhanced versions. Enhanced Unity gives the holder 15% of Robella's attack as boost. Robella now puts 2 inspection stacks when the ally attacks or intercepts, and the fixed freeze damage at the end is now 30% of Robella's attack. Enhanced inspection stacks on the other hand buffs the damage multiplier of Frigid Infiltration by 9% from 3% before. So now Frigid Infiltration does 204% multiplier attack when there are 6 inspection stacks. Big numbers. Her skill 2 also gives her frost barrier for 2 rounds, which can absorb damage equal to 65% of Robella's initial attack value up to a maximum of 60% max HP. One thing to remember here is that her skill 2 has a 3 round cooldown and the effects are for 2 rounds, so there's a downtime. That goes away at V5, so below that you gotta deal with the downtime and keep applying it whenever it comes back. Her ultimate is simple, it does AoE freeze damage in one direction in a 4-tile fan-shaped area, dealing 120% attack multiplier freeze damage. This costs 4 confectance index and C only recovers confectance in one way, so you usually use the ult only twice in a 7-round battle. Her passive completes her kit and brings everything together. First of all, it gives her 1 confectance index at the end of action, the only recovery source for her. Next is what makes Robella the hypercarry. So we learned about the Frigid infiltration attack before, the big multiplier damage from S2. After doing that, Robella consumes all inspection stacks on the enemy and gains equal number of a new stack on herself called Sense Weakness. This is it. This is the stack that gets uncapped at V6. But before that it can only be max 10 stacks. Each stack increases her basic attack and ultimate's damage multiplier by 9%. When there's more than 2 stacks of Sense Weakness, which should be always since it doesn't expire, her basic attacks do freeze damage and her crit rate is increased by 20%. At V6 she can easily reach 50 plus stacks on certain fights, that means 450% plus damage multiplier boost on her basic attacks and ults. You now understand why her V6 is crazy good. One more thing you need to understand is that when there's more enemies on the field and the ally with unity attacks or intercepts multiple enemies, Robella puts the inspection stacks on all of those enemies, attacks all of them with Frigid infiltration at the end of action, and consumes all of their inspection stacks to turn into Sense Weakness stacks. That's why her potential is much better with multiple enemies to gain the stacks faster than from a single enemy. Of course, if you are below V6, then it's only 10 stacks max. Sucks to be a F2P, I guess. Anyway, let's look at her Vertebrae levels. Not much to look here honestly. If you really want to invest a little more onto her than V0, her V1 is pretty good. It gives Robella 20% of the partnered allies' attack as a boost, so they both get buffed off of each other. Nothing game breaking, but good. I wouldn't specifically recommend to go for it though, in my opinion V0 is good enough. Only dupe you should target if you are going for is V6, which just uncaps her Sense Weakness stack limit. Her V5 before also fixes the skill 2 downtime, as the effects are now applied for 4 rounds with a 3 round cooldown. So when you reach V6, she is complete with no limitations and can use her full potential. That's why it's recommended to always borrow a V6 Robella when possible if you are playing the Freeze team. Her weapon choice is simple, just Swarog. It's completely free and it's comparable to her signature below V6, so there's no point pulling for the signature. If you have gone for V6, you can still use Swarog since that will be C6 and Swarog gives you defense ignore, but you can also pull for the signature after that. It will be pretty worth at that point. In case you don't have any of these, I don't know why you won't have Swarog, but some other choices can be Juggernaut, Jaui's signature weapon, or if you get Robella's signature SR weapon when pulling her. Moving on to her build, she gets the standard DPS stuff, either Freeze Boost or the Phase Strike set. Phase Strike is the preferred set for farming and versatility. You should already have a Phase Strike set on Swarog ready. Stat priorities are also the standard attack percentage, then flat attack followed by crit rate and then crit damage. You wanna go for at least 3.5k plus attack, 80% crit rate and about 135% crit damage for an endgame full build on her. Her best in slot fixed keys are Guard Vent to apply defense down 2 on enemies, 3rd gen Neural Cloud to gain some attack buff, and Inner Calm for enemy buff dispels. If you got V6 Robella, then you should instead use extra attention to gain more Sense Weakness stacks. As per the common keys, besides her own, she can use the other good DPS keys like Dosebnaya, Tololo, Vipli or Lind's common keys. Remember to evolve these keys for better stats, as they can give you more crit damage, which you normally don't get from anything else than the weapon muzzle. Level her Remolding Core up to level 60, it will give some more damage boosts as well as sustainability. The recommended flowers for her should prioritize attack boosts, freeze damage boost, boss damage boost, out of turn attack boost, AoE boost and any crit rate or crit damage boost. Robella is a core member of the Freeze team and she doesn't really sign in any other teams, as we already established that she needs a Freeze partner at the very least. Right now that's gonna be Macchiato. You need to plan for Alva next, as she should be coming soon and she would be the better partner choice then. You have Dosebnaya as the next team member and the final support member will be Helen when she arrives. This is the current premium Freeze team in CN. We don't have them all right now, so the immediate team would be Lotta in place of Alva and Suomi instead of Helen. I have literally 0 freeze units and I plan to start building the minimum core from now. So I'll be looking for Macchiato, Alva and Helen as a F2P with Robella as my support hypercarry to be borrowed. Her skill rotation is fairly straightforward, there's not much variation. You start with her S1 to partner up with an ally and follow up with S2 on the same turn. Her basic attack will be doing freeze damage, so it's useful for her in the rotation. S2 has a 3 turn cooldown, so we use that whenever it's available and use her ult twice in the full rotation. V6 has the same rotation, even though the S2 uptime is better, you still need to re-enable it when available to maintain that. That is her full kit and build. What's my final verdict? If you have skipped freeze, don't have Macchiato and don't plan to build them or pull Alva, then there's no point pulling Robella, you should skip her as well. If you are interested in freeze comp or already have invested into them, the minimum recommended pull is her base V0. I want to emphasize here, you can still skip her and borrow her V6 as support unit, which is the best F2P cost effective choice, but V0 is the recommendation if you want to have her in your account. I do not recommend any intermediate dupe breakpoints personally, but if you are a Dolphin and she is your favorite, a V1 can be considered a quick investment for some extra boosts. Otherwise, just go for V6 next, as that's the best recommendation for her. You don't need to get her signature weapon at any point before this, just use Swarog as mentioned before. After V6, you can go for C1 on her signature weapon. That concludes our review of Robella. She is bringing a much needed resurgence of the freeze team, they have been out of meta for a long time. Do you have freeze units invested in and are you planning to pull for Robella or are you skipping her? In any case, if you have enjoyed this video and found it helpful, feel free to drop a like and subscribe, also hit the new hype button, that's helpful too. And as always, if you want to be a part of this channel's community, you have the option to join the channel membership or even send a super thanks. Shout out to my 2 channel members, Cheese78 and J Vivan. You guys are the goats and I appreciate your support a lot. Love you all, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays in advance to everyone. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more Girls Frontline 2 content. I'll catch you later, goodbye.